Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, Lego tubers and fans of Lego Masters alike? I am, of course, your host, Zach Kaplan, aka LegomationStudio, being joined here by Christian from AllOutBrick and Thrawns from Thrawns Revenge. Let's just say we're going to be talking a lot about this finale. We have 3 builds to talk about. Shouldn't take too long. And also, before we get started, I just want to say that I will be coming to BrickCon 2021 in Seattle, October 1st through 3rd. I'm going to be there. I believe Thrawn will be there as well. So it'd be great to see you guys, whoever is in the Seattle area at the time, or if you're flying out. There are some new, rules because of COVID and everything. But generally, if you're vaccinated or you bring your mask, you're going to be fine. And, yeah, it just sounds like it's going to be a really good time. I just uploaded a video to my YouTube channel with some old footage from 10 years ago when I went to BrickCon all the way back then. So it'll be kind of fun to go. It's like almost a 10th anniversary, and also it's the 20th anniversary of Lego BrickCon. So I just wanted to get that out of the way really quickly before we started. But with that down and out, let's get talking about the Season 2 finale of Lego Masters. Just first thoughts before we start going on to the builds, and then final thoughts. Just an incredible season overall. It really goes to show you that they're trying to put some new twists and turns for these builders that are kind of out of their wheelhouse. And in a way, it's definitely going to show that Lego Masters, if granted a Season 3, is really trying to go out of the box with these things. They're really trying to try new things, put these Lego builders up to the test, and really make them go out of their comfort zone with new sorts of builds and new challenges. So overall, I really liked it. I know they shot in Georgia instead of LA. There were all these COVID restrictions. If you also recently watched our interview with Caleb from Team Caleb and Jacob, go ahead and check that out. It's about an hour long. Thrawn uploaded it to his YouTube as well as AllOutBrick. Just really insightful. And basically, yeah, they were literally living with each other in a hotel on the same floor for the entire shoot. So everyone got really close. So it gives you kind of a new subtext, a new, way to look at it when it comes to the relationships of all these teams throughout these competitions. So overall, yeah, great season so far. You really can tell that they're upping it. And, yeah, what did you guys, before we get into this finale, just overall, this show, this season, Season 2? Here, if you want to go, Christian.
Yeah, I thought the season was a ton of fun, man. I don't think if I compared it directly to Season 1, I think this one definitely had harder challenges, I would say. And I think we had a little bit different expectations going in. I also think the level of builders this season, I think, definitely kicked a notch up. I mean, we saw it with every single challenge. They were pushing the boundaries. And my thoughts of this episode is, honestly, I feel like these weren't the best builds that these 3 teams could have put out.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Thrawn, how about you before we get started here?
I really enjoyed this season. It was definitely a lot more technical than the previous season, that's for sure. There were a couple of challenges I wasn't as into this season, like the flip my brick or whatever it was called. I thought that was really stupid.
Pip my house.
Yeah, whatever it was, I didn't like it. Who watches HGTV? Not kids. Yeah, I thought the last challenge, I did not expect them to do it this way. I thought they'd do it like last season, which is why I was like, why are there 3 teams? Shouldn't there be 2 teams and decide which one wins from there?
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting something similar.
Yeah, so that was a surprise.
Yeah, I was also surprised that, no spoilers, but they had Caleb and Jacob leave and just kept Zach and Wade and Mark and Steven instead of just letting Caleb and Jacob be there too to see who won. That was kind of weird, be part of the celebration. I don't know, yeah.
I thought it was strange as well.
It's strange too because in Season 1, as you guys know, if you watch Season 1, they had all the families of all the teams come back for the finale, and it was huge, and there was a huge audience, basically of everyone that they knew, and it felt a lot larger. They couldn't do that obviously because of the pandemic, but it did feel a little awkward, I will say, at times. But besides that, let's get into this episode with our first build. As we know, the challenge was build whatever you want 24 hours, which is double the amount of allotted time that they had in any of the other challenges. So quite a lot of time. I'm sure they shot it over 2 or at least 3 days from what we heard Caleb says is the way they shoot it. And we'll first talk about Zach and Wayne's Pagoda of Our Lives. Now, the other challenge in this was to add lights to it. While it comes to life during the day, it has to come to life at night. So the idea here was that it's a giant pagoda or style tower with 2 dragons, which is kind of their thing, going around it, and then on each level there's moments of their lives. There's their family, their they're kids, like, and the lights are kind of sporadically on each level. But I will say, personally, I was very disappointed in this build. I mean, even between all three of these teams, these builds weren't even their best builds of the season. Now, I know it's the finale, and maybe they're a little tired at this point, but they are told to go all out, and they're given 24 hours to do so. And while I think, Mark and Stevens for sure was incredible and definitely deserved, in my opinion, of the win, Zach and Wayne, their technical builds are incredible. Their first build with the float, the like parade float with the dragons, I thought the dragons looked better on that build than this build. I don't know what happened. I don't know what went down, but the tower itself, it's a good tower, but it's not that pleasing to the eye. Like, I look at this and I think, I don't know, like, I actually don't exactly totally know what went wrong here. Maybe you guys have like some differentiating opinions than me, but personally, it's a cool looking tower. It's just not that pleasing to the eye. It isn't as eye dropping. And dude, I don't know about you guys, but the dragons are bad. These are bad dragons. They just look like snakes. Like, I don't know what happened. Like serpents almost. Like, I don't know what happened, because Zach and Wayne were great at the start of this season. Even throughout the season, they've had incredible builds. The dragons that they built for that dragon float in the first episode were great. They looked great. I can't even tell like that these were dragons when I'm looking at this. So I don't really know what happened. Maybe it's that they were given too much time. And in fact, a theory of mine could be that they were under a little bit less pressure as far as time constraints were given. I don't know. That's my opinion. I would have had them get in third place and have Caleb, because while Caleb and Jacob's hourglass wasn't as big and grandiose as these, and maybe didn't have as much like small details, it was still conceptually, I think, a better overall design to look at, especially with the lights moving in the hourglass than this. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on Zach and Wayne. Again, all these teams made it to the finale. They're all incredible builders, but at this point, it's the last episode, and I was definitely disappointed in this build. Christian, how about you?
I completely agree with you, Zach. I think, especially by Zach and Wayne standards, and even just by the standards of this show, immense disappointment on their build here. Like you said, it's a tower. It's very repetitive all the way up. And those dragons, I mean, personally what I think happened is they were definitely toying around with that mechanism of creating the optical illusion as if the dragon was actually going up the tower. And I think they were so wrapped up in that, they ended up losing more time than they thought they were going to with it. And when they look back and they're like, shoot, like now we have to do the rest of this build and this isn't working. When I saw them presenting the build, I was very underwhelmed by the nighttime look that they gave. Like, yeah. I felt like it really didn't give anything extra. And with those big wall panels, I was expecting some incredible mechanism to show itself, and it just never did. I thought the walls were going to slide open, or something was going to hinge. It was going to be something mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So when I saw the lights just flick on, I was like, really? Like, I really expected better of them. And to your point, those dragons they had the best build in the first episode, at least with the dragons. And so it's just inconsistent, and I don't understand how they couldn't replicate that. It really just, I think, in my opinion, comes down to them realizing, like, hey, this mechanism with the dragon we want to have isn't working. We have to scramble something together. I also agree with you. This was my third place build, without a doubt. I was stunned when they didn't get announced for third place.
Yeah, I agree. Thrawn, how about you?
I think they ran out of steam. I feel like they hit kind of like their maximum. Definitely the dragon thing is probably what ended up killing them in the end, and kind of made them know what their position was. Because I have a feeling what happened is, like, as they were building, right, they're seeing Caleb and Jacob's build.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, all right, we're going to be safer than that. And then they looked at Mark and Steven's build, and they're like, we're not going to be safer than that. There was no way. And because the dragon system kept not working, and because, like, they already had, I think, the main structure done by the time they started to notice what position they were in, I think they just settled. And that's fine, right? Because that happens. You see where you're at. You see the position you're in, you know your capabilities, you know your limitations, you declare, all right, I'm throwing in the towel now. which makes sense because they've been going balls to the wall this whole competition, trying to put out their best creation. I think they just got complacent.
Right.
And that's going to happen when you're doing 24 hours of building.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of time to be in your own head. And your own head is the worst place to be when you're trying to think creatively. They were locked into their concept. The dragons, yeah, I think the rush of time is what broke that. The mechanism, I think, is actually a lot more complicated than we're giving it credit for. Because that whole section goes through the whole center of the back of the build and goes up and down. I think the reason it goes up and down is that was the activation switch for turning the lights on and off. So they probably just overcomplicated that area to be able to give the back glow for the rest of their build. And that back glow is really nice. I think if you remove the dragons and framed the rest of the front and removed all of the stuff they'd built on the inside, this would be like a realistic building and like a really well-designed architectural model, for sure.
Yeah.
But just the limitations where they were at, how long they've been doing it, and then noticing the other two people, they were like, all right, hands down, I'm done. And I don't blame them for that.
Yeah, I hear you. I think...
correct?
Yeah, Christian.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we've gotten a very similar build to this before. Either in Season 1, it had to have been in Season 1 at some point. I just feel like we've seen this build before of a big tower going through the story of someone's life. It feels so similar to me.
There was a similar build, but it wasn't a tower. It was like a weird connection of boxes.
Okay.
And it was very, like, color. It was more conceptual.
Okay.
Right, like kind of a diagram. I remember the build you're talking about.
Yeah, it was like
had a bunch of different colors.
Yeah,
with like little windows that would open up into different sections.
Yeah.
But it was way more simplified. Like this
obviously.
is more of a different presentation, and I like this presentation more than the previous one.
Right.
Yeah, I think they did a good job. I think the dragon is the biggest downfall.
Yeah, it just sticks out like a sore thumb, dude. It's just so bad.
I think they ran out of time. The system wasn't working. They were like, we're getting second. We're done. Don't deal with this anymore. We're happy with where we're at. And that makes sense.
Yeah, I also think the judges understood, as Brother from Another Brick is saying, that they'd been robbed a couple times of some wins, which I agree with, especially kind of later in the season, a couple episodes before this. But I don't know if that should be I don't know if that's really what they're thinking when it's the finale. This is the go all out episode. And when you're trying to think out of the box, I just don't think this was very out of the box. Brother from Another Brick says, while I don't think it's their best build, they were focused more on storyline or story time, I guess. But to me, you can still tell a story without it just being literally a different story every level of your life. I understand that.
I agree. I feel like they
it's too literal.
I know. I think maybe they just tripped themselves up over the story, and I wish we saw something different than, hey, here's the story of our lives, or they were very good at visualizing those in very different ways. Like you said, this is very straightforward. There's not a whole lot.
What if they had just done one giant dragon, literally just the biggest dragon, the size of that whale that they did, and just have it light up with red and blue, and that would have just been awesome.
I think then you go to story. You still have to tell some sort of story with the.
Maybe they're riding the dragon, two of them. I don't know.
But yes, they could have, and then they could have worked in these crazy mechanisms of maybe the mane of the dragon would look like it's blowing through the wind, like it was flying or something.
Yeah, and I mean
they definitely could have done something different.
It wasn't until later in the competition that they were told that they will be displaying this at Legoland Florida, right? Because I'm thinking, if you know that it's going to be displayed at Legoland, you don't do just a tower. You do something wild. But I think it was later in the episode that they were told
and
that.
That's a really good point, Zach, because in Season 1, I believe in the finale, they announced right away, this is going for Legoland.
Okay.
And I think that is an extremely good point I think they do build it a lot differently if they know what's not obviously what's at stake, but the impact of this build moving forward. I think you think in your mind, hey, what's going to look good in Legoland?
It's not just TV, a quick shot, swiping by the camera. It's actually going to be in Legoland. Let's move on to the next one in a second. I'm just going to read some of the comments Bilescross says, I feel the same way. The build looks still looks all right from a distance, but it isn't the best out of the three. The dragons here aren't as detailed as I hoped. I agree. Brother from Another Brick says, yeah, Zach and Wayne, to be fair, were robbed a bunch. They were screwed over many times. But Zach and Wayne, in my opinion, will be my favorite team. I've chatted with Wayne, and he's the most humble person ever chatted with. Oh, yeah, totally. And if, Brother from Another Brick, if you've watched our interview with Caleb, who also was very humble, to be honest, I feel like people that have made it to this level that are Lego builders, they're all good people. I mean, they're literally playing with what is technically a child's toy, but making it adult in a very cool way. And I think to be someone who can understand that and be open to imagination like that, you got to be somewhat of a humble, good person. And if you watch our interview, actually, Zach and Wayne bought the whole team, all the contestants sushi after the first episode that they filmed, because no one was going home. And yeah, they like ordered a bunch of sushi to eat in, and they all hung out. And it's great to know that they're very about that. So, you know, and to be fair, yeah, it's to each their own. I liked Dave and Richard a lot, and it was unfortunate to see them not go the distance. Alien Kid 360 says, yeah, exactly. I also think that they spent too much time trying to make the mechanism on the dragon. And when they realized that it wouldn't work, they rushed out the other two dragons. Right. For one moment, I thought the dragons were snakes, Bilescross says, or maybe a two-headed dragon. Yeah, or yeah, like they could have made a two-headed dragon. That would have been cool. But all right, that's Zach and Wayne. Again, congrats to them for making it this far. It's incredibly hard, and they got second place, so that's cool. It was kind of awkward seeing them just stand there while Mark and Steven won. It's like either I think all three teams should have stayed, or like maybe, I don't know, maybe they have like all of them leave and just the one team there at the end. But because all the confetti, you know, and it's like they're just sitting there like...
I don't know. I feel like that's every show or every competition.
It is.
I feel like second place has to sit there with the confetti. Like, yeah, it sucks, but like that's just what second place. I feel so bad. I feel like Zach and Wayne. If we went back and tallied up how many times they came in second place, like, oh man, I mean, it felt like every challenge they were in the top two and came in second. Yeah. And it didn't matter what's.
Stinks. No, 100%. So, next up, let's take a look at Caleb and Jacob's The Lands of Time, or Sands of Time, but I guess they couldn't call it that because that's a Prince of Persia reference. But, yeah, so, what can I say? Caleb and Jacob, as you guys know, like, they are fans of the show, actually. Caleb and Jacob have been tuning in, or at least Caleb has, Cheesy Studios on YouTube, has been tuning into our show and writing in, and we were able to interview him. So I guess there's definitely a little bit of a personal bias when it comes to these builds.
I'll admit it too.
Oh yeah, you gotta admit it a little bit. But, you know, if we never interviewed them, I think my thoughts would have been the same, which is the high concept for this final idea was my personal favorite out of the three when it comes to the concept. Execution and build, Mark and Steven had it in the bag. But their build, while wasn't that big, I'll do the cons first, wasn't as big as the others. Didn't have as much, maybe, I guess, small detail as the others, although, you know, the bottom with the spinning function, and I think the way they put the lights in was great. This night and day, I guess, really goes for what the judges were asking, which is it looks something in the day, looks like another in the night. The bat was cool. It was just felt a little bit out of their wheelhouse, and I was a little confused at first. But when I saw them during this episode, that moment where they have to flip it and try and connect them and put them one on top of the other, that was like a nail-biting edge of my seat moment. Like, I was legit like, oh my god, what's going down? What's going to happen? Sort of like, you know, I mean, I was like, they should be grabbing this a little better. The top with a, you know, I was like, it's going to fall apart, it's going to fall apart. But it didn't, and their whole idea, their concept was followed through. I mean, in my opinion, this was an easy second place in my opinion, as far as just really going out of the box, thinking, and I think visually the concept was just better executed. I don't care if it's not the biggest build, you know. To me, it's more, does this look cool on display? Will this be a cool thing for people to walk through and check out all the details and see what's going on? So I don't know. That's my opinion. Aside from my bias, I really do think they deserve second place. But as we saw, they didn't. They got third. But, you know, they were very nice about it. They're a humble pair of brothers, and they just said, look, we had a great time. To make it this far is a dream come true. And yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts on the Lands of Time. Thrawn, you can go first. Your thoughts on Caleb and Jacob's The Land of Time.
I just really like the build. I think something that really got in the way, as they brought up, is their limitation of space when they decided what the size was. Because I think something that ended up being a challenge was building the bulbs in that sort of system. You don't have a lot of wiggle room, and that thoroughly limited, I think the creativity that they were probably wanting to show versus what they did show. The concept I've seen before art-wise, like a lot of art I've seen of this concept of like one dark, one light, top bottom kind of deal. I think a lot of the mechanics they had were definitely more impressive than Zack and Wayne's, but
Yeah.
their main issue was that the highlight of Zack and Wayne's was the story in the different sections, right? Here, there are 2 stories. It's less personal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
definitely less personal.
kind of the display is a little bit more traditional than what Zack and Wayne's is. And I think that might have been the like big difference. Like mechanically, I like theirs way more. It had more stuff going on. There were more lights. The usage of the space they had, I feel like, was used better.
Right.
But the actual building, I think that's where Zack and Wayne ended up doing better. Mostly because that tower design is very unorthodox. The ring system is very unorthodox. Yeah, the dragons were not good. We all know that. But the build, the structure itself was impressive.
Right.
Where this, yes, it's impressive that it's upside down, but what's not impressive is the bulbs and how the bulbs are shaped, the limitation of the space that they're in. The pylons, I actually really like the like texturing of the pylons that they have.
Yeah.
The base feels a little plain for what it is. I feel like they could have textured that a little bit more. It's always that biting off more than you can chew or having restraints of your build. This concept, when they first said they were going to do it, I'm like, that is a bold choice. Because it's less the upside down building and more of like, when you lock in what size your sand piece is going to be, you're stuck. And there's nothing you can do about it. Because the other option they would have had, other than using the flexi tube with the see-through pieces, would be to brick build it. And you would lose any of the visual clarity on the inside.
Right.
But I feel personally, if they had built it that way and put holes inside of the clear trans bricks, that might have been a really interesting, like, kind of spilling out of the light and dark of the 2 sides. They could have possibly spun that a little bit better and gotten that second place easier. But, you know, that it happens. Stuff like that happens. So
Yeah, totally. AllOutBrick.
I think you hit the nail right on the head, Thrawn. I mean, constraining themselves to this size was definitely their ultimate, I don't want to say failure because this is a fantastic build still, but their ultimate downfall.
Right.
And I think the size of those bulbs are still quite incredible, though. I mean, just looking at them now, they look like they're the size of, like, the Death Star sets. Like, they are still pretty big, but I've said it time and time again. Caleb and Jacob were my favorite storytellers on this show. Every single time you knew you were getting an unbelievable story. And so when I saw that they were going to be limited here, my first thought was, I don't know how they're going to work in all the story elements. And we saw that play out. I think it could have been a little bit more refined on, like, the different edges. To their credit, they had some good mechanics going on in here. I think the story just got a little bit lost. But Zach, I agree with you. Like, the aesthetics of this build are just great. I mean, flipping it upside down, obviously it's going to be technically hard, and I'm sure they used tons of technic to build that structure for the one that was going to be upside down. But it just looks like more of an art piece than, say, Zack and Wayne's. And so I think I like it. I like it very much too. I think just limiting themselves to that size, I wish that they built the inner bulbs first and then built the structure, is how I wish they went about it, rather than building the structure and then building the inner bulbs. I think if they just reverse that flow, we're seeing something completely different. That being said, I still think they should have been the second place to build without a doubt. I mean, when they said that they were the third place build, like I genuinely like my jaw dropped. I really thought that they were the better build when you compare to Zach and Wayne's. And while the story isn't as clear, I just think it's an aesthetically more pleasing model. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
on
I mean, it's like, to follow that up again, it's like I thought they would have gotten second because the judges are not only looking at the build that they're currently, displaying, but comparing their work to the rest of their work this season, the rest of the episodes prior. So it's like,
do you think they have a bias like that? Do you think they bias themselves about what you did prior?
I mean, for me, it's like I would dock points off of Zach and Wayne because it's like they've done so good that at least with Caleb and Jacob, this was up to par with their high concept ideas and the visual aspect.
That's fair.
Whereas it's like Zach and Wayne, it's like, yo, you guys have been going balls to the wall. What happened here? A sort of like, which is why I would have given them third. I don't know. It's all up for debate because all these builders are great. Just to go to the comments really quick. Yeah, Brother from Another Brick says Dave and Richard would have made so far, but Richard not being able to build is good. Yeah, was their downfall. Brother from Another Brick also says Caleb and Jacob always had impressive builds. They're both super strong builders. 100%, I agree. And so, with that said, let's talk about the final build of, because, just 3 builds, of Mark and Stevens, the Warden of the Woods. Now, this is pretty epic. Just so I can get it out of the way, I actually initially was like, they're going to make it far, but I didn't, because I don't follow them. Thrawn did, and he was like, oh, they're when we started doing this, like, live reaction live show that we're doing here, he was saying, like, yeah, Thrawn was like, yeah, they're going to make it far. But I was like, I don't know, man. Like, they're good. They're really good. But I just, for some reason, wasn't feeling it. Like, I thought they were going to, like, at least come under pressure a little more. But they managed to really hang in this entire season. And it shows with this build. I mean, it's just gorgeous to look at. The concept itself is just as, if not more, high concept than Caleb and Jacob's. At first, I was seeing this giant, that they were building, and I was like, okay, I see that, but then everything surrounding it, the texturing of the land that it's on, I think just its staff, it's the amount of detail surrounding it, the size, it's ginormous. And then, of course, what the judges were asking, the extra little bonus, which is make it light up, make it visible at night. And the way that they got, I'm pretty sure, some gear or motor functions with lights attached to them underneath the waterfalls was incredible. I mean, it looks like the water is flowing. And then, of course, the eyes glow on the Warden as well. This was absolutely just a gorgeous build. And I don't think it was more than about halfway through that my roommate Andrew and I went, yeah, they are going to win this competition. It's no brainer. It's beautiful to look at. It's an incredible story as well. They were very adventurous growing up. They spent a lot of time in the woods. And so you have the Warden holding their 2 minifigures in his hand. It's just, it was a no-brainer. Was this their best build of the season? Maybe, but also they had some pretty good ones. So it's hard to really compare and contrast. But given 24 hours, given the fact that this is the final episode, given the fact that there was a moment where they had all of these teams talk to their families, everyone's under this, like, emotional stress as well as time stress as well as just it being the finale. They were able to pull something off that was just immaculate, better than any of the other teams. By miles. It was, like I said, halfway through the episode, I looked over at Andrew and I'm like, yeah, they're definitely going to win this one. There was a moment when, and I think, Christian, it was you messaged us off the Discord because you saw it the episode first. You was like, oh, there was a major snub. And I was like, it's one of 2 things. It's either that Caleb and Jacob didn't win, which is just kind of a joke because it's a bias, or I thought there's that one moment in this episode where he trips over the wire, and I'm like, oh, and they cut to commercial, and it's like, are the lights not going to work?
Actually,
and are they going to
point back to that? I want to say something about that scene. So I saw it got pointed out. Someone tweeted it. If you look at that scene, Caleb and Jacob's what is it? Their hourglass has not been flipped in the background. So it was like midway through the competition.
Okay,
that happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a funny thing to notice. Because, yeah, for me, I saw that
The
and I'm
power of
yeah, the power of editing. Yeah,
editing,
I
man.
saw that and I was like...
yeah, editing, man.
I saw that and I was like, oh, maybe this is what Christian's talking about. Like, they get snubbed. They automatically get, like, second because their lights stopped working, you know?
Oh.
But I was like, they can't do that. And my roommate's like, yeah,
No,
they're
I
not
was
gonna do
I was
that.
going off because Caleb and Jacob got third.
Yeah,
I really was. I was fuming when they got announced third. I
Yeah.
really thought that they were better than Zach and Wayne.
But overall, that is my thoughts on this incredible build. Congrats to Mark and Steven. They deserve it. They deserve the money. They deserve the win. And this being displayed at a Legoland is exactly what they were looking for. This is going to look great. Like, kids are going to walk up to this and they're going to have interest in the show now. And they're going to be, like, super inspired. So, it's all in all, it's what the Lego Masters were looking for. And so, congrats to them. Christian, go ahead. Your thoughts on Warden of the Woods.
All right, so... 2 things. Number 1, round of applause for the winners. All right, great job, guys. Mark and Steven, way to go. I had the same reaction as you, Zach. I mean, when I saw this being presented, I think it might have been the first one. I was like, yep, that's the winner. That's the winner. And it was the mechanics on the light that sealed the deal for me. When I saw those lights moving behind the waterfall, it was just, you just knew. You knew that wasn't going to get beat. Number 2, they built a giant group. All right, everyone can admit it. They built a big group.
It is kind of Groot-esque.
It does look a lot like Groot, but just the way they just texturized it with the different... I mean...
Oh, yeah.
They really did a great job. I actually took a look back at the Season 1 winning model from Tyler and Amy, and it was a similar base, actually. It was a similar type of environment as the base, and... I felt like that. I don't think Mark and Steven looked at that and was like, "Hey, let's do that." Like, this obviously fits for the Warden of the Woods. It also looks like they tried to shape this Warden of the Woods and give him somewhat Lego features. It seems like he's kind of built like a giant minifigure in some of his different proportions. Just overall, I was blown away. This is going to look fantastic in Legoland down in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. How are they going to transport it without breaking it? That's going to be one heck of a challenge, man. But congratulations, Mark and Steven. I think they were definitely... I think Zach and Wayne were like a 1B in terms of talent, but Mark and Steven were always my 1A when it comes to talent. I think you knew if they wanted to turn it on for a certain episode, they could just flip the switch and build something crazy. And when it came to the finale and they knew we've got 24 hours, one of their first things they said was, we've been thinking of this model for a long time. Let's build it. Wow, so they already had the idea in their brains. Yeah. And so I knew, like, at that moment, I was like, I know that they're going to put something crazy out. There's no restrictions, no ridiculous, like, mechanical requirements. They just got to build. And so I think when you give that kind of situation to the best builders, in my opinion, on the show, yeah, they should come in first place. And great job, guys. Congratulations on the win.
Yeah. Thrawn, how about you?
This went exactly as planned. I knew they were gonna win. I knew what the last 2 people were gonna be. It was gonna be Zach and Wayne second, Mark and Steven first. And I knew this because as soon as they announced all the builders, I looked all of them up. And as soon as I saw Zach and Wayne's and Mark and Steven's, I was like, I have seen both of what they can do, and I know that's how it's going to go down.
Yeah,
and I was right.
That's a good point, man. I think if you predicted after episode 1 who's going to be 1 and 2, this would probably be the 1 and 2.
And the thing that made it even more sealed for me was that first episode when I saw Zach and Wayne's build for the float and I saw Mark and Steven's build for the float. I was like, yeah, this is how it's going to go down. Because I knew that the last challenge was going to be not technical focused and mostly build focused. And Mark and Steven, that's where they excel. I didn't expect them to be as open-ended, and that made it even easier for them because they are fantasy builders. They are incredible fantasy builders. And so anything fantasy would have been the perfect decision for them. And I think that, like, the cartoony features, the fantastical elements, the changes in size of, like, the huge mushroom, the trees, and the lights and everything. This all worked for them incredibly well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what else to say other than like, it's a beautiful work of art. Honestly, it's the cartoonish kind of design. It feels very similar actually to me to like a Ghibli film. As this feels like something you would see in like a Ghibli film.
Oh, totally.
And that like whimsical wonder is so cool, and it's such a beautiful model, and the amount of work they put into like not only the main character but the terrain and everything around, it's just incredible.
Yeah. Incredible. So, there you go, guys. I mean, those are the three like longest lasting teams, and the number one winner, Mark and Steven with Warden of the Woods. I'm excited to see what all these builders go on to do in the future. I'm excited to see, it's up in the air. We aren't going to hear about it for a while. I've heard inklings that season 2 didn't perform as well as season 1. I don't know if that's because people weren't watching as much. The episode release.
Can you look up the ratings? Those are public information, right?
I don't know. I know someone that works at Fox.
I think they are.
I know someone that works at Fox.
That's a good source.
I'm gonna ask him tonight. I'm actually gonna hit the range with him in about an hour. So I'm gonna ask him if he knows anything about that, because he literally is able to. He knows things that none of us will be able to find out. But yeah, I hope there's a season 3, and if there is, I hope that they start to bring back a couple of the team favorites. You know what I mean? That'd be super awesome. I don't know. They do that in a lot of other reality shows, so we'll see. But for the time being,
what, almost like an all-star type of season or something like that?
Something like that. Well, no. I mean, there's other, like, Face Off is a show very similar, and it's about practical effects. It's people that do makeup. Like, they'll do an alien episode, and then they'll do a horror episode. And, like, every other second or third season, they'll bring one or two teams or contestants back from previous seasons. Like, it's a thing that they do to keep people interested and all that stuff. But, yeah, overall, just really love this season. It's been an amazing time going live for all you guys watching, or if you're not watching live right now, thanks for watching this full episode, because we've been doing this weekly and it's been really fun. Now, today, Christian wasn't able to come on via video, so I'm thinking, especially after this, this has been really fun. We don't want to just stop. So I'd love to, if we want, kind of continue this in the future. I think if there's a way to do just like another either interview or like overall season thoughts next week or something, let us know, like, in the comments, because I would like to do something like that. And I know Thrawn and AllOutBrick and we've all had a fun time doing this. So
yeah, absolutely,
if we can think of some other show to do, or even like Thrawn, I know you're on these online message boards all the time. You're looking at people's mocks. If there's like a way to put together like a week where we talk about other builders or what these contestants have done outside of Lego Masters, would be just a fun little thing to do as well.
Yeah, maybe like once a month type of thing. Of like, hey, best things we've seen or something like that.
Yeah, totally.
That could be fun.
Because I know that you're looking at this every day, so it'd be really fun to do. But
very true.
Yeah, so we've been going on 40 minutes here. Again, I want to let you guys know I will be coming to BrickCon 2021. That is in Seattle, Washington. You can get your tickets now for the public exhibition. Thrawn, do you know if private exhibition tickets are still available?
I don't know, but I know there's also there's online also. They're doing an online one as well.
Yes.
So there's online or public or for the builders, but I don't know.
I mean, I'm not a builder, but I got private tickets. I think you can still buy your tickets. It's like $80 or something, and that's for all 3 days. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
It goes up to 100 tomorrow, I think, either tomorrow or the day after.
And then I think like eventually, I mean, I think it's already passed. You can't get the engraved badge.
No, you can. You get the engraved badge, I think. I want to say the 20-something?
September 18th or the 25th.
Is it really?
The 25th. But I think
it might be
you
the
get
25th.
a badge by the 25th, but you can't get the custom engraving after September 18th.
Yeah.
I don't know. I doubt that whoever's doing this right now, like a majority of you guys probably can't make it, obviously. But if you are in the Seattle area or if you're going, I will be there. Thrawn will be there. It's going to be a great time. Yep. Otherwise, I will be uploading, hopefully daily, footage just of the convention, of what we do there. It's going to be a fun time, so I'm definitely very excited about that. But also, if you haven't, check out our interview with Caleb from Team Caleb and Jacob. It's an hour long, and boy, was it a good time. What a treat that was to just really know what the behind the scenes is. But yeah, I want to thank AllOutBrick, Christian, for coming on. Thank you, Thrawns. This has been an incredible journey through this season.
Yeah, man, I had a great time. Thank you for hosting this whole thing and really just putting it together every single week.
Yeah, it's been sweet. It's been awesome. I mean, literally, it got the attention of one of the contestants, and we were able to interview them. So that's pretty
I know.
sweet.
Unbelievable, man.
But yeah, brother from another brick, thanks for being here. Bioscrowl, DJ Dude, Alien Kid 360. And I know my mom's watching right now, too. Thank you for tuning in. This has been great. I want to keep this up. Streaming is a lot of fun. So as LegomationStudio, as a YouTube channel, I will be announcing in the future what I'm going to be doing. But until then, check out AllOutBrick on YouTube and Instagram. Check out Thrawns Revenge on Instagram, Thrawns Revenge on YouTube. Also, I think if you look up Thrawns Terminal, they can find you as well. But yeah, amazing. It's great. I got to head to the range. I'm going to hit some golf balls with some friends. But it's been awesome. It's been a really good journey. And to anyone that's watching, yeah, thank you for having watched all of these episodes, all of these live shows. We're hoping to keep it up in the future. And we're hoping, cross your fingers, for a season 3 in the next couple of years. Hopefully we get it or someone else picks it up, because internationally they have, like, in Australia, there's a UK, they have a bunch of other Lego Masters shows.
Sweden. Caleb said that they have Sweden too.
They have Sweden too. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. But until next time, get your brick on. And what is it, Christian?
Stay bricking. Stay bricking.
Stay bricking. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're just tuning in now, you can go ahead and refresh and start at the beginning of this stream to catch our entire thoughts about this season and this finale. But yeah, again, thanks for watching, and bye-bye. Stay bricking.
All right, that's